Working in Aotearoa, New Zealand could be the best move of your life. Like South Africa, it's a place where we take the whole work-play lifestyle thing to the next level. It's a great place to do business, being home to many multinational companies. In fact, most global businesses have a presence here. And it's safe. Our government is transparent, stable, and everyone is treated equally.
It's safe. You can go with your kids to the park any time of the day.
So come live and work in New Zealand, because together we can do amazing.
Good evening and welcome everybody. Welcome to Working In's latest webinar. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. This webinar is specifically for people based in South Africa. So my name's Paul Goddard and I'm a licensed immigration advisor with Working In. I'm lived in New Zealand for 17 years, but I'm currently based in the UK as one of our offices over here. We've got a real global team with us today. I'm also joined by my colleague Paul Arthur, who's also over here in the UK. Between us, we've got lots and lots of experience of helping people move to New Zealand. And over in South Africa, my other colleague Sarah is joining us from sunny South Africa, although I believe it's not that sunny at the moment. Is it, Sarah, with it being winter over there?
No.
Yeah.
It's
a little
freezing.
bit cold. So everybody who's on here from South Africa, and if there's anyone from anywhere else in the world, welcome. It's great to see you. We like doing these webinars just to share information with people about what it's like to move to New Zealand and the steps you need to go through to make this process work. There is a chat room, and my other colleague Daryl, who's actually over in New Zealand, he's in the chat room. So anybody who's typing questions in the chat room, Daryl is there to answer your questions. He's also a licensed immigration advisor with Working In. So be interactive, ask whichever questions you want to, and we'll answer those questions. I'll also do a run through of those questions towards the end and pick out any that we need to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into the webinar, and this is what we're going to run through today. So why using licensed advisors is important, the job market, the steps you need to take to make the move, how we can support with your relocation, and very importantly, who we can and can't assist. There's lots of different ways to be able to move to New Zealand, but there's lots of boxes that need ticking, and we're very clear with what we do is that we only offer to help people where we can add real genuine benefit to those people, and we'll talk about that as we go through the process as well. And as I say, you can ask questions. So on that note, using licensed advisors, I think most of you watching this will know how important that is. Immigration licensing came out years ago. How long ago was it, Paul, that immigration licensing was brought in? Oh, way back.
2009.
Was it? 9 years ago.
Early 2000s, wasn't it?
2009.
Yeah, early 2000s. So what that means is only licensed immigration advisors are allowed to give immigration advice to people. There are some exemptions, like lawyers, etc. But generally, if you are getting any information or advice about moving to New Zealand, you should use a licensed immigration advisor. Yes, because they're licensed, and that's important. It's a process we have to go through every year to renew our license, but also because they are up to speed with what's happening with New Zealand immigration. And there has been loads of changes over the last 12, 18 months, even in the last 3 or 4 months, some massive changes to immigration policy. So it's very important you get advice from people who know what is happening on a day-to-day basis with New Zealand immigration. As a team, we have got 27 licensed advisors, so a massive depth of knowledge between us. So only use licensed advisors. The job market in New Zealand, very active. The New Zealand borders were closed for almost 3 years. So it's one of the longest border closures in the world. And when borders get closed, it means people can't move to that country. So people couldn't move to New Zealand. So employers in New Zealand had to hire and use the people that were already in New Zealand, and they sucked up most of their internal talent, which then leads to skill shortages. The borders are now open. They opened to the whole world around the 1st of August last year, so very, very recently. And that means this is a great opportunity now to actually get a job offer that allows you to move to New Zealand. And I'm sure some of you maybe typing in the questions section of how do I get a job offer in New Zealand, because that is often the most difficult part of this process, especially when you're overseas. I'm going to give you some tips and advice as to how to get a job offer and why it can be so difficult, so you can look at that. And that's part of the 4 steps to making the move. So we break the move down into 4 steps that are very easy to understand. And obviously this isn't just about visas. There's a whole lot of other things you need to consider when you're emigrating. How do you get there? What about your children? What about your pets? What about living in a house or renting a house or buying a house eventually? And a million things that you need to think about. We'll talk about some of those other things when we talk about relocation, and then we'll touch on who we can and can't assist. So on that note, with the current job market in New Zealand, I'm just going to skip that slide because we've actually already done that, so excuse my technical side of this. The current job market in New Zealand, I've already mentioned that this is very active. There's a lot of skill shortages in New Zealand, and one of the things that they've done is they've introduced something called the green list. Now, so that I don't do all the talking through this webinar, Sarah, are you okay to talk about the green list and what that actually is and what it means?
Yes, so previously there were a lot more occupations on the shortage list. There were about 4 shortage lists, and what they've done is they've condensed that down to, I think it's about 90, probably 90 to 100 occupations, and it's all those occupations that are in dire shortage. So it will be the ones that would tend to get the job offers the fastest. Also, they provide, a lot of those occupations provide either straight to residency you can do, or perhaps residency after 2 years. So it just gives different options to people that are desperately needed in the country.
Absolutely, and I think you've hit on a really good point there with something like straight to residence. This is a new visa that the government sort of attached to the green list, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is straight to residence. We're seeing these visas being processed within 3 months of being lodged, sometimes even quicker than that. And what that means to anyone listening is, if you're lucky enough to be on the green list and meet the green list criteria and get a job offer that matches those skills on the green list, then straight to residence for some of you can be an option, where you're not applying for temporary visas or anything else. You're literally just applying for a residence visa for the family, and it's not based on points or anything like that. So what the government has done is introduced more ways for people to get residence. And there's something on that list, Sarah, that we haven't put on there yet because it's very, very new. And this is the new changes to the skilled migrant category. So anybody who's looking at the current skilled migrant category and points, which is 180 points, etc., that is all changing from October. And the last selection under the current points is around the middle of August, so literally only a couple of weeks away. So I would say anybody who's watching this webinar is not going to be going under the 180 point skilled migrant system. They're going to be going under the new 6 point skilled migrant system. So Sarah, can you just touch a little bit on the 6 points and how that works?
Yep, so it will be quite different to what's currently set up. At the moment, you have to get 180 points. So now they'll be moving to what they call the 6 points. So there's kind of 3 category areas, which would be someone that has occupational registration, a recognized qualification, or meets a certain income threshold. So, you'll have to kind of hit one of those 3. There are some other ways to kind of add points, such as if you've worked in New Zealand, I believe that you will get a point for each year.
Yeah.
I think up to 3 points working in New Zealand. But what they're trying to do is kind of move towards either you being a very kind of high income applicant, or highly skilled in the case of qualifications. They're trying to kind of move towards that, just kind of move it in a different direction.
Absolutely. And I think it's quite clever actually what they've done. So they've removed things like extra points for a job offer outside Auckland. They don't count your previous work experience in your own country for points anymore. And people might think, well, that sounds a bit strange. You know, you can get points for working in New Zealand, but you can't get points for the work that you've done outside New Zealand. But what they've done is very, very clever, because for some people, they'll be lucky enough to reach 6 points straight away. So if you've got a PhD, you get 6 points. You still need a job offer, but you've got 6 points. That's enough to lodge skilled migrant residence. But if you've only got, I say only, if you've got a degree, you might get 3 points, you know, and then you're 3 points short, but you make up the 3 points by working for 3 years, because you get 1 point per year. And if you, even on the other end of the scale, if you're a tradie, you know, if there's any tradies watching this webinar, you know, if you're a tradie, and some of the trades are actually on the green list, like electricians, etc. But if you're a tradie that's not on the green list, then there's still a route to do this, where if you get a builder's license in New Zealand, that will give you 3 points for having the New Zealand builder's license. And then you work for 3 years in New Zealand, and then you get your 6 points. So they're being very, very clever with these changes. There's the green list, there's straight to residence, there's the skilled migrant category. Some people can go very fast through that point, and some people will have to work for 1, 2, or 3 years before they can get residence. So very important that if you don't know how this works, or even if you think you do, use licensed advisors who are completely up to speed with these changes. It is so important. The internet is full of all the old ways of moving to New Zealand. That none of that's been taken down. It's the internet. It's still there. So it's very easy at the moment to read incorrect information on the internet. Always get things clarified with a licensed advisor. Now, the other big change that they introduced was employer accreditation. So Sarah, can you touch on, you know, very briefly what employer accreditation is?
Yep. You know, before last year, anybody could hire foreigners. So there was no kind of process where they had to be like a sponsored employer, you know, be registered with the government, go through any kind of hoops. Whereas they changed all of that last year, where you have to be registered with the government. It's basically a 3-stage process. You know, they then have to advertise, they have to do what they call a job check, and then when it's approved that they can hire a foreigner for that role, the employer would be given a job token, which would then be given to either the applicant or the licensed advisor to be able to apply for the work visa. So, you know, the laws are very kind of strict now. I suppose it's trying to get rid of employers that were maybe hiring, you know, through informal ways, such as friends, you know, trying to kind of beat the system maybe. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's something now that's been embedded for a little while now. I think we're all used to accreditation, certainly in New Zealand, and working in can help. So working in as a company, we can actually help New Zealand employers get accredited if they're not accredited. So that's really important and really useful, because a lot of the time, if you're just firing off a CV to New Zealand, which you shouldn't be because it generally doesn't work, you'll be firing your CV off to employers that aren't accredited. But if you've got somebody like us assisting, and the employer's not accredited, but they are interested in you, then we can talk to the employer and actually help them get accredited. So that's a huge advantage that you can get by using Working In to help you. So as we go through on that note, you know, who are we looking for? Who can we help? Now, I think, Sarah, you're probably best to talk about this, because you do a lot of work, obviously being based in South Africa. You do a lot of work in our South African market. You talk to a lot of people who want to move from South Africa because New Zealand offers that amazing lifestyle. It's obviously safety is a big thing. You know, New Zealand tends to be a bit safer, but it's also quite familiar. It's nice scenery, etc. The weather's mild and temperate, and there's a lot of reasons to want to move to New Zealand. But who is it that we can help and can't help? You know, as a general overview.
Well, firstly, I'd probably say the kind of people that we'd primarily be looking at are those that fall on the green list, because they are the people that would probably find job offers the easiest. So, you know, if you're looking at those industries, especially medical, nurses, doctors, you've then got engineers, construction, trades. You know, there's quite a lot of, as I said, probably 90 to 100 occupations. So they would probably be the first kind of set of people that we'd probably be looking at, you know, helping, because as you've said, Paul, the job hunt can, you know, be quite
Challenging,
arduous,
yes.
and it's not, I mean, you know, over the years that I've done this for, I've found people that have just come to me where they've found a job, they haven't even been assessed, you know, they've found a job within a week or two, perhaps through some kind of link with New Zealand. Then you've got other people that, you know, go through the process as we want them to, where they get assessed, they check that they meet all the criteria, and then they go and look for a job. And as we've said, you know, it can take people 2 weeks, it can take them 6 months. And this is one of the questions I always get asked. Well, how long does it take? But you can't really answer that, because, you
It's
know,
however long
could
it takes
be,
to get a job offer is the
yeah,
answer, I guess. And
yeah.
but it's not just about having those right skills, is it? There's also the other big factor in this move is budget, isn't it? You know, the cost of the move, you know, the cost of living around the world, the cost of flights, and all these things have gone up recently. So how important is that when someone's considering the move?
This is why always on the first call that I have with people, so we do offer a free appraisal, and I always outline, I know some people have contacted other companies and they've not given them any outline at the beginning. I think it's very important for us to give you an outline of how much it costs. So I always tell people at the beginning, you know, this isn't cheap. It is an expensive move, even if you move within your own city. You know, it can cost a lot, can't it? So, you know, if we're talking in rands, I always say to people, you know, you're probably looking at 150 to 200,000 rand for the visa process, plus your flights, plus your relocation costs. And there's no point kind of trying to hide that with clients, because, you know, once you've done our assessment, you've paid for that, then of course we would be asking you for a much smaller deposit, but you've still got to have those funds
Available, yeah.
You know, if you haven't budgeted for that, then it is pointless with you actually continuing. Even if you don't use an advisor and you do it yourself, you can still spend well over half of that, as
Absolutely.
we know. You know, it's still
Absolutely, and that's one of the big reasons. So some of you watching this webinar, there'll be a link in the chat room, and you'll see it on the screens, and we'll email it to you as well. There's a link for you to complete a free appraisal with us. This is just a very simple, quick and easy form that everyone on here can, you know, after this webinar, you can go online, you can fill it in. It gives us your basic details. It doesn't cost you anything. It gives us the information so we can actually see if you are somebody who's potentially a good fit for us and can make the move. And then when you do actually move forward and get a consultation with us, we do talk a lot about visas and costs and timeframes and how to get jobs, etc., because that's the information you need before you can actually commit. My advice to anybody on here is stop spinning around in circles on the internet. It just doesn't get you moving forward. You go round and round, you don't go forwards, and you get to a certain point and you get stuck. If you want to get beyond that point, we're happy to take people forward. So Paul, with something that we haven't touched on yet, and we haven't got a slide for this, but so we don't need a slide because we've got your pretty face, Paul. So the other aspect of the move is obviously once you're ready for the move and the job offer's been secured and your visas are getting ready, then there's the whole logistics of the move. And I know a lot of people leave it till the end, and that's quite often a mistake, isn't it? Because there's a lot of stuff you can get ready even before the job offer is secured. So just tell us a bit more about relocation and the kind of assistance and guidance we can give around that.
Yeah, sure. Evening, everybody. I've been helping people move to New Zealand now for over 20 years. It is a big move. We all understand that. And it's a move which needs careful planning. My role is to give you advice, guidance, and assistance throughout the process. What we've tried to do is use our experience and to a degree our buying power to put together a range of companies, service providers who are experts in what they do, and you can use them with absolute confidence. Once you become a client, we'll give you a relocation form to complete. Most people fill it in as soon as they become a client of Working In. I'll have a chat with you. We'll explain what we can do to help. We'll explain all the different services, and we'll encourage you to let us start working with you at the very beginning, particularly if you've got pets to take with you. If you have pets, it can take 6 or 7 months to prepare a pet before they are able to fly into New Zealand. If you're moving motor vehicles, furniture, personal effects, again, it takes time. You need to get the movers to give you quotes. You might not be sure what you're going to take, what the cost's going to be. Let them come and see you and give you a range of different quotes. We have a range of things we can help you with. You'll need a bank account in New Zealand before you leave South Africa. That's really important. Your new employer will want your bank account details. You'll need it before you can get a tax file number from the Inland Revenue. You'll need it to rent property. You'll need it to transfer funds from South Africa into New Zealand. It's really important. Some people might keep property in South Africa. You need to take some tax advice. We've got tax specialists in New Zealand who we can connect with you just to make sure you're doing everything in the right way. People have got pensions. Can they be transferred? Yes, we've got people who can give you help and advice to do just that. Flights, whole range of different flight options for you. Often with the flight specialists we use, because you are migrating, they can get you an increased weight allowance. We've got property specialists in New Zealand. They'll work with you before you even leave South Africa to help you get organised, to source, and then arrange suitable rental property. You might need to think about insurance. You might want mobile phones. You might need to arrange a car waiting for you when you get there. We can do all of these things for you. And these companies specialize in helping people who are moving to New Zealand. So, as I say, I've been helping people for quite a long time. So if you're serious about moving to New Zealand, my advice, and just to back up what Paul was saying, is take advice. Make sure you're eligible, and make sure, if you are, that you use a professional company that will not only help you through the visa process, but can give you support and explain how the employment market works, and then, of course, help you relocate as well. Working In, they've got a real team of experts, and the only other thing to say is I think that doing it right will actually cost you less in the end.
Absolutely. No, it's so many good points there, Paul, and we know this obviously from doing it a lot, but you've got to compare apples with apples as well. Not every visa agency does things in the same way, and we've been around this industry, us three, for a very, very long time, and I can't think of anybody who does what we do in the way that we do it. We're quite unique in what we do, and we have helped tens of thousands of people make the move from all over the world. So on that note, how do we do this? I'm going to share the 4 steps that we make and that we do, to help people make the move. Now, they sound really, really simple, dead easy to understand. Get ready, get a job, get a visa, get on a plane. Just like that. If it was that simple, New Zealand would have a population of 50 million people, not 5 million people. So it's clearly not that simple. But breaking the move down into steps is one of the best things that you can do. A lot of people go on the internet and they just don't even know where to start. I can't get a visa because I haven't got a job offer. I can't get a job offer because I haven't got a visa. What do I do? How do I even move this forward? And most people make a mistake. They go, right, I need a job offer. So all I'm going to do is blast my CV all over the internet and try and get a job offer in New Zealand. It generally doesn't work. Some people get lucky, most people don't. And the reason most people don't get a job offer just by firing off a CV is your CV doesn't tell the employer what they actually need to know. And what I mean by that is your CV tells the employer that you can do the job that they've advertised. It doesn't tell them if, when, and how you're going to get to New Zealand if they offer you that job. And if that's missing, why would they move forward? You're in competition with everyone around the world who wants to move to New Zealand. You're in competition with New Zealanders who are already in New Zealand. Employers will always go the way where there's more certainty, where they know it's going to be easy and the result is kind of guaranteed and everything else. So we take people through differently. Getting ready means getting information ready, all the information you need about your move, so personalized information that the internet doesn't give you. It means getting document ready, which is having your visa documents prepared as much as possible, ready to go before you start talking to employers, ideally. And it also means being able to help you prove to employers that you're fully prepared, ready to go, and your documents are in place. That's where we move into step 2, getting the job offer. Now, depending on people's occupations, if you're a truck driver, any truck drivers on here, you need to be talking to us now. As well as being a visa agency, we're actually also an accredited employer, and we are actually offering jobs to truck drivers, heavy goods vehicle truck drivers. So anyone on there, definitely get in touch with us. Health professionals, we've got our own health recruitment team, so nurses, physios, etc. Anyone in the health sector, we can actually have our health recruitment team place you into a job. But for everybody else, we provide what we call employment support. Employment support, I can't talk about it too much because it'd take forever, but basically the aim with employment support is to put you in the best position for you to interact with the employers who can hire you in New Zealand, and to remove the barriers that stop those employers engaging with you. Okay, so it's about giving peace of mind to you and showing you how to do it. It's not us going out and getting you a job offer. You have to do that because you're the best people to be doing that. But we show you how to do it. We put you in the best position to do it, and we guide, support, and advocate you through that process for as long as it takes until a job offer is secured. Most visa agents do not provide employment support. It takes too much work, too much effort, etc. Working In can provide employment support because we weren't set up 20 years ago to do visas. We were set up to help New Zealand employers hire people from offshore. And that's why we've, even grown during the pandemic where most people shrank. So we're in a really good position to do that. But let's be very clear. Only an employer can guarantee you a job offer. Nobody else can. But we can put you in the best position to do it. Then step 3, once the job offer is secured, is having a licensed advisor do your visa, whatever visa that might be. You may have multiple options. So the advisor will check the job offer and check which visa it does allow you to do and put you down the best route, whether it's straight to residence, whether it's skilled migrant category, whether it's just a work visa. We work it to you and what you're doing, and the advisor prepares your application, liaises with the government on your behalf and all those things. And then that frees you up to go into the final step, which is relocation. Where are you going to live? What about getting on a plane? What about renting a property? What about the stuff that Paul just talked about? So we're not here to just fill out visa forms. We're here to find skilled people who can get job offers in New Zealand, who've got good skills, good experience. They've got the right budget. They can make the move. There's no major health issues, etc. Ticking the boxes. Screen those people, work with those people, find the people that are a good fit for us and a good fit for the employer, and then take them through these 4 stages. This isn't just about filling out forms. If you think about it, filling out forms is stage 3. You don't do stage 1 and 2. You're not even getting to stage 3. And that's where most people trying to do it on their own come unstuck. And this 4-step process, we've been using it a long time, and it doesn't really matter what tweaks and changes they make to visas. This process stays the same. It's just the visas that is different. So that's in a nutshell how we help you make the move. First thing for anyone who's on this webinar to do, anybody who's serious about making the move based on what we've just told you, and if you think that you could be a good fit for us and you've got those skills that New Zealand needs, then use the link. It's workingin-newzealand.com. You can see it hopefully at the top of the screen, /free-appraisal. We'll put it in the YouTube page afterwards as well. So it's there. That's a free link, totally free. There's no payment at that point. Of course, we do charge for our fees and what we do. We talk all about that if you then move forward and actually start working with us. So we step you through this process. You're not actually spending thousands of dollars until everything's actually been checked and done. And our fees range anything from, the fees that we charge, anything from $2,500 New Zealand dollars upwards, depending on what you're doing and if you're single or if you're a family, etc. So we can't have one size fits all. It's different fees and they're tailored to you once we know what you're actually doing. So that's covered everything that we wanted to talk about. Thank everybody so much for coming along. I've been looking around, in the questions. There's not many questions in there. So I think Daryl's obviously answered questions and stuff like that. And so what we'll do is we'll let you all carry on and enjoy the rest of your evening over there in South Africa. And we'll leave you with some pictures here because everyone moves to New Zealand for the lifestyle. There's some pictures here that we've got. These are actually our team members, people who working in, basically enjoying that New Zealand lifestyle that it's famous for. And if you want to know a summary of that lifestyle, if you've never been to New Zealand before, or maybe you've been lucky enough to visit, if I was to sum it up, I would just say that overall it's easier. It's easier because there's not too many people. It's easier because it's a temperate climate, not too hot, not too cold. No snakes, crocodiles, things like that can cause you serious injury like other countries. And it offers, as you can see from these pictures, it offers an amazing kind of work-life balance. New Zealanders work hard, but they also play hard, and they have a great playground to be able to do it in. And I always say to people, it's a privilege to be able to live in New Zealand. Hopefully a lot of you on this webinar, tick the boxes in terms of your skills. And if you do, then there's no reason why you can't be joining, the people in these pictures and experiencing that lifestyle that it's got to offer. So any quick questions, so a quick summary from you, Paul, as to about, any quick tip or piece of advice for everyone?
I think the key to it is planning. As Paul said, if you're serious about doing this, the logical thing is to make sure that you're eligible. The free quick check assessment, which Paul mentioned, and the links on the site here, is definitely the first thing to do. If it looks good, we'll come straight back to you, telling you it looks good, then inviting you to have a call with one of our licensed immigration advisors so they can have a bit more of a chat with you, give you a bit more help, advice and information. Again, there's no pressure, there's no obligation.
No.
If it's something you're still keen to do, then obviously we're going to need an awful lot more information from you. So we'll ask you to carry out a more detailed assessment, giving us a lot more information, where again our visa experts can have a good look at you and make sure in their opinion you're actually eligible to get a visa. And that's really it's important. It's all done in stages. So you've got to be completely happy with everything we've said. And as far as we're concerned, unless we genuinely believe we can help you, we won't be accepting you as a client. We're not going to waste anybody's time or money. That's not what we're about.
Absolutely. And Sarah, any quick tip for those people over there in South Africa with you?
I'd probably say don't just go applying for jobs as a first port of call. A lot of people do that. The problem is, because employers aren't immigration advisors, you might tick their boxes, but you might not meet the conditions for the immigration rules for the visa, and then you've obviously wasted your own time, you've wasted the employer's time, and then perhaps you'll get a declined application or you won't even be able to submit it. So yes. come have
No,
an assessment.
great piece of advice, Sarah, and we deal with that, as you know, on a daily basis. And you can also flood the market very, very quickly and easily in New Zealand. If you're sending off 20, 30, 40 CVs every day in New Zealand, you know, within a couple of weeks, you'll have hit every single employer that could have hired you. And if they haven't hired you, then they're not going to move forward, and you're not going to get that traction back. So great advice. Don't burn your bridges before you've actually even built the bridges, is the summary there. So we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining online, everybody. We've hoped that you found it useful, and we do run these webinars every month or so. So if you want to move forward, do the free appraisal. If not, we'll see you online again soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.